championship. Oh, can you believe he got that high? Who has the championship? No timeouts remaining.
Oh, he caused it too many timeouts. That's a technical foul.
Thurman beat it. Oh, he got it.
Simon says championship.
And UConn has done it. Maryland has done it. Syracuse is your national champion. North Carolina takes the title. Gators as good as it gets. Chase it down.
Punctuation.
What a game. Wow. Yes. Huge shot. Oh, goodness. How about this? Oh! Here we go. Jordan. Michael Jordan. It's a long way. They won it. On the dot. Smart takes the shot. Later. Puts it up. Yes! Can you believe it? Oh, huge shot. Dreams to come true. As good as it gets.
Big welcome to the Smith Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. CBS begins its 26th road to the Final Four today, matching two of the elite programs in all of college basketball, Kentucky and North Carolina. And a big hello, Craig Bullerjack, Billy Packer. Glad to see you, my friend. Kentucky 6-2, unranked. North Carolina 5-1. Billy, they're young, they're talented, and they're led by the All-American Tyler Hansbrough.
He's relatively young, too, just being a sophomore, but we all saw last year this young man lead the North Carolina team. He has incredible energy, great strength inside, a ferocious rebounder, and can put up offensive rebounds better than maybe anybody in the country.
Billy, let's look at our singular in-game analysis.
Well, there's some things that step out at you today, and one of the things are the rookies from North Carolina. They've got Wright, they've got Lawson, they have Ellington, three of their top four scorers. Then you take a look at Hansbrough, as we talked about last year, led him in scoring, rebounding, field goals, shooting percentage in almost every other category. Tremendous player. One of the things that bothers me about Kentucky early in the season, they have 35 assists and 34 turnovers from their point guard position. That's a serious problem. And then when we start talking about double-doubles, I'm talking about Randolph Morris. He has got to be that kind of player, particularly in a game like this.
Kentucky and North Carolina from the Dean Dome. We'll be back on CBS. CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Coca-Cola Zero. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. Enjoy the Cokeness. Vonage, a better way to phone for less. And by the Lexus December to Remember sales event, now through January 2nd. Welcome back, Smith Center, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Tubby Smith and the Wildcats invade this afternoon. Tubby in his 10th season, national champions back in 1998. As we check out Kentucky's lineup this afternoon against North Carolina. The backcourt, Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford, two juniors. And the front court led by Randolph Morris, averaging 16 points a game, the 6'11 junior from Atlanta, Georgia. And for North Carolina, it's a young backcourt, both freshmen, Ty Lawson and Wayne Ellington. And up front, keep your eye on Tyler Hansbrough, only a sophomore, an All-America first team a year ago, and the head coach of North Carolina in his fourth season. Roy Williams, 498 career wins. Billy, he was an assistant under Dean Smith for 10 seasons, went on to Kansas for 15, then came back and led the Tar Heels to the 2005 national title.
Well, his teams have beaten Kentucky the last two times, but Tubby Smith has a 3-2 edge on Roy Williams in what has been a great 7-game series.
29th overall meeting between these two teams. And we're underway. And the tip controlled by North Carolina. The Tar Heels 5-1. Kentucky at 6-2.
I thought Wright stole that tap.
Wright gives it up to Lawson. Back inside. Tough shot, around and out.
Good rebound by Morris. Strong. This is going to be really important for Kentucky, for Morris to get in this ball game early and to stay out of foul trouble.
Morris turns it over to Hansbrough. And the hands are everywhere And the sophomore comes up with it for North Carolina.
Nobody came back to the ball. North Carolina could have had an easy 2.
Brandon Wright, the freshman from Nashville.
Tough matchup for Kentucky when you look out on the floor. Wright, listed at 6'10", plays about 7'2" with those long arms. Off to a tremendous start this year as a freshman.
A 3-time Tennessee Division II Mr. Basketball. Brandon Wright on the board, averaging just under 16 a game.
Illegal screen by Thomas. See Wright get on the inside. Good passing. And he can put them away.
North Carolina, Billy, can score 92 points a ball game. Kentucky at 72 per contest. Right on the wing. Out front, Hansbrough. Terry puts it on the floor, hangs on a pivot.
Terry off to a slow start this year, but remember the sensational game he had against Kentucky last year, and there is one of the smoothest strokes that I've seen come into college basketball in a long, long time. Ellington.
Tar Heel freshman's 5, and Kentucky yet to put it on the board.
Ellington with 19 points in that tremendous game against Ohio State the other night. Sensational play by Crawford.
Terrific play inside 2 plus the foul.
Crawford at just 6'4", does not mind taking it into traffic. Good job by shielding the ball by using that strong upper body of his.
Ellington picked up the foul, the first team foul. As you look at Joe Crawford, a 71% free throw shooter on the season. And gets a couple of bounces and a 3-point play.
Lawson can really push the ball up the floor. North Carolina team that's had 3 100-point games so far this year wants to get the game up into the 90s.
Last touch by Kentucky. North Carolina basketball. 25 on the shot clock. North Carolina beating Ohio State here in Chapel Hill Wednesday night, 98-89. And Billy, you have to wonder if the emotions were drained out of this club. We'll wait and see.
Well, it's early in the season, and obviously that, as far as a game played in November, was as fine a game as you're going to ever want to see. 2 very athletic basketball teams. Here we see Kentucky getting the timeout.
Kentucky won the scrum and a timeout. Early minutes of the first half in Chapel Hill on CBS. Billy, the top 2 winningest programs in all of college basketball. Kansas not far behind, followed by Duke and St. John's. What a fivesome.
Well, it's really interesting. Kansas has a losing record against those other 3. Kentucky only has a losing record against North Carolina. Crawford wide open shot.
Perry the rebound, back into Morris, and he jumps it up and in. Randolph Morris, who did not play in this game a year ago, had to send out the first 14 games because he declared for the NBA draft. Back the other way, and it's Terry, Rashawn Terry, the senior.
The modern game of basketball played with guard penetration, which is very difficult to stop in a guy like Lawson, and then the kickouts.
A pair of threes early, thrown down by the Tar Heels. Morris on the block, shoots it up and over. Hansbrough.
Touch. 2 in a row, 1 over Wright, 1 over Hansbrough.
8-7 North Carolina. As Lawson controls the dribble out front to Ellington.
2 North Carolina kids going head-to-head right there. Terry, this could be very important to him to get off to a good start. He's had a slow season so far. Bobby Perry from Durham taking on Terry from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Terry averaging only 8.3 points a game, and Billy already has shot down 5 for the Tar Heels.
Now, last year in this ball game, he was 7-15 from the floor, 9-10 of the foul line, 25 points, 7 rebounds for the biggest performance of his career.
Early substitutions for Roy Williams. Billy Hansbrough gets an early rest.
Not surprising, because North Carolina will have as many as 10 men play over 10 minutes in a ball game.
Perry fights in the corner for the rebound for Kentucky and clears it out at midcourt.
Crawford again going inside with that body, right way up over everybody.
Rips down the rebound.
Here's where Lawson is so dangerous.
Off the green, short. off the glass, and here comes Kentucky.
Green did not know Morris was coming in behind him. Morris got a little piece of that ball. Nice hustle by Morris coming back down the floor.
Crawford went right to left hand, turned it over. And that's the third turnover committed by Kentucky.
Now, Tubby Smith or any other coach is going to go up against North Carolina this year, and we saw that the other night in the Ohio State game. You're going to have to play against 10 guys. You're going to have to play against a very frenetic pace. I thought Gonzaga did a great job in the fact of slowing down the pace, helped by their zone defense. But North Carolina's going to throw a lot of bodies at you and try to get a frenetic game going.
Foul on the hand check. Bobby Perry picks up his first. And a substitution for Tubby Smith. Derek Jasper, a freshman, will check in.
And the other thing that, Craig, is extremely important for North Carolina, they have gone to the foul line this year. It's just been unbelievable what they've been able to do. They've been to the foul line 99 more times than their opponents. And they're not, obviously that's not a shooting foul right there, but with this frenetic pace, they like to get to the line because they go inside a lot.
Jody Meeks, a freshman, also checks in for Kentucky. Out front, Green. In the corner, the shot is away. Not this time. And the tip belongs to the Wildcats.
Nice job by Green keeping that ball alive.
Both these teams, Billy, very aggressive early here in the first half. As I mentioned, the Heels come off the win over Ohio State. Kentucky beat College of Charleston on Tuesday night at home, 77-61.
And they beat an old nemesis of North Carolina, Bobby Crimmins, who's now down there and won his opening game and then lost to Kentucky on the road.
Long three off the mark by Meeks. Morris. Had it nearly stolen away, and last touch by North Carolina. And a timeout. Timeout, 15-19 in the opening half in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. North Carolina shooting at a 57% clip early, leading Kentucky by 3.
Well, 57% is what Hansbrough shoots on the year. One of the reasons he's excellent at getting position down in the low box. Here you can see a nice triangle by North Carolina in the setup. No passing outlet available, so North Carolina rotates the ball back. Watch how Hansbrough seals his man with quick footwork, and then he does a terrific job in the space down inside, not traveling, plants that foot with that upper body strength that is so incredible for a man his age, is able to put the shot away.
An All-America first team a year ago, ACC Rookie of the Year, all-freshman team of the ACC, did it all. Has yet to take a shot in this ball game, nearly 5 minutes in.
Good job by Terry again, anticipating Meeks, the freshman, not moving. Got 3 freshmen on the floor right now for Kentucky.
Jasper inbounds to Bradley, who trots across midcourt. Oh, tough shot, comes off the iron, and the rebound to Hansbrough.
Kentucky doing a very nice job getting back with defensive balance. North Carolina not able to get any fast break working.
Bobby Frazier is in for North Carolina as Terry hits short on the jump shot.
Good defensive job by Jasper that time. He's a big kid for a guard.
Bradley to Jasper underneath and a whistle. That will be on Rashawn Terry, and that's his first and the second team foul.
Now, Terry took a bad shot, and about the worst thing you can do in the game of basketball is take a bad shot. First of all, your percentage goes down. Secondly, your teammates aren't in a position to get offensive rebounds, and over a period of time, if you take a lot of them, the teammates will eventually get down to the point they don't want to give you the ball. So that transition basket created by a bad shot taken by Terry.
Jasper, 69% on the season. He'll get one more. Substitutions.
And here's one of the things about freshmen with Jasper on the line. Had a terrific game against UCLA with 12 points and then did not score against Memphis. And what you're looking for as a coach as these young players develop is to try to get some consistency. When the game starts, what are you going to get out of a player over the course of the 40 minutes?
A pair of misses by Jasper. And here comes Kentucky. Back on defense is Miller. Hangs on the wing looking for a cutter. 22 on the shot. Good defense, Billy, by Kentucky. Miller, 3-ball. Oh, air ball.
Miller has had all kinds of problems from the outside this year. Last year, he was just tremendous in key games. 18 against Florida State, has not made anything from the outside this year.
Count it. Randolph Morris, strong move. And Morris throws down his third bucket, 6 points. He'll go to the free throw line.
Miller last year was 3 for 5 from 3 against Kentucky. See, Randolph is doing such a terrific job on the inside. Being very patient. He's got strong hands, very soft touch.
Shoots 57% from the floor.
Well, you can see he was preseason second team All-SEC. Now, this is a young man that has the ability not to be second team All-SEC. He has the ability to be the player of the year in that conference. And it's all between his ears. You know, what does he really want to be?
3 for 3 from the floor. Randolph Morris, 7 points early. And we're tied at 10. Hansbrough on a low block. Morris came over defensively, got a hand on it, and maybe got a hand on Hansbrough.
And that all started by bad positioning defensively, put Morris in a bad position to have to get Hansbrough, who will wait down inside. He's extremely patient. Matter of fact, he probably ought to go ahead and try to draw some 3 seconds against him, because he'll wait forever to put that shot up. Looks like Morris is going to have to come out now for a rest, as well as not to get any more foul trouble.
Łukasz Orbzut from Poland, pardon me, checks in. One more for Hansbrough, and 1 of 2. And the rebound belongs to Perry Stevenson, one of the freshmen again for Tubby Smith. This young man averaged a triple-double in high school.
And he's out where he doesn't want to be, handling the ball top of the key. He needs to be inside, swatting shots away and finishing.
Crawford working his way down the lane, nearly lost it. 10 on the shot clock. Bounce pass out to Jasper. How about this defense by North Carolina? And the long 3 on the way, banks it off the glass.
There's where he needs to be. Stevenson.
One more time for Crawford. Fresh clock and a travel.
Oh, I didn't think that Crawford had the ball in his hands in order to call that travel. The ball was still being bounced around a little bit. Tough call on Crawford after some great effort. You know, Orbzut coming in there for Randolph Morris reminds me the NCAA tournament 2 years ago when he came in and did the good job on Andrew Bogut after Randolph Morris had all kinds of problems early in that ball game.
Bogut, of course, went on to be the #1 pick to the Bucks. And taken down. Meeks has it.
The smaller Kentucky team doing a real good job taking away those second opportunities for North Carolina on the boards.
Out front, straight away, Crawford.
Being guarded by what I think is one of the most versatile defensive players in the country in Ginyard. He is a tremendous defensive player against almost any position other than center. And caught in an illegal screen.
Oh, there's a rebound.
2 long arm guys. Wright and Stevenson, 7-footers in wingspan.
Crawford backs it out. Kentucky, Billy, you surprised, a 14-3 advantage rebounding, 7 on the offensive boards.
Well, they are really battling inside, getting good position, and there was a case that just Crawford couldn't go up against Hansbrough. Lawson pushing. Miller can't get any looks. People are playing him for that jump shot.
Ginyard to Hansbrough. On a pivot. How about that shot? Came right off the rim as he had to shoot over the 7-foot 1-inch Orbzut. Good hustle back defensively.
He went the length. That was 90 feet that time after the missed shot on the other end.
Jumper, back of the iron, and the rebound covered up by Stevenson.
But this is the pace that Roy Williams would like. Even though they're missing shots, they're turning it into a frenetic game, not what Kentucky wants. As an example.
Stolen away, watch out. Miller, he'll leave it. Big fella, yeah. Oh!
Now, if you're Tubby Smith, you don't want that kind of action. Great timeout by Tubby. You cannot allow this team to play this way.
Brandon Wright takes it in. Carolina. Billy, UCLA 5-0, #1. Pitt 7-0, #2, followed by Ohio State, Florida, and Kansas.
Well, we're going to have this team right here, Texas A&M, outstanding ball club, playing against UCLA next week. And I think that top 10 will be shuffling around a lot this year. When you see what's happened so far in college basketball, probably the top team in terms of performance has been Butler, and they're just in the top 20.
Billy, Kentucky's defense has really troubled North Carolina. The Tar Heels started 4 of 5, and since then have gone 1 of 8.
Well, the key for North Carolina is to push this ball and turn this game into a ramble-scramble game. For Tubby Smith, you love looking up at the scoreboard right now and saying after about 10 minutes, they only got 13 points on the board, kind of pace that he'd like.
Right, drops it underneath. Oh, the two-hand flush.
Freshman to freshman. As I said, at this point in the season, I don't know where Roy Williams will go come March time, but at this point, he is very comfortable playing that entire lineup.
Timeout, 10:46 left in the half. And North Carolina with a 5-point lead. North Carolina, 5 national championship banners hanging, and Bobby Knight, Billy, close to making history.
Well, there you see him as a young coach at West Point. Then, obviously, the legend continued at Indiana, where he won 3 national championships, and now at Texas Tech. Bobby Knight sitting right now after that TCU win at 875. Rupp was at 876. Dean Smith, 879. And he'll get there. Bobby Knight out in Kansas City a week ago did an incredible speech about Bill Russell when he presented Bill Russell as one of the 5 initial inductees to the College Basketball Hall of Fame. And I know Bill was extremely appreciative of the kind words that Bob had for one of the greatest players that's ever played the game.
That shot went off the top of the backboard. North Carolina basketball.
How about a zone defense now from Tubby Smith, trying to keep the pace of this game down.
Ginyard to Terry.
Nice hands by Stevenson.
On the low block, Hansbrough calls for it. Lawson resets straight away. 18 on the shot.
Gonzaga had really good success keeping the Hansbrough bottled up inside in their zone.
Terry to Stevenson, 8 on the shot clock. Lawson lets it fly, bottom of the net. Well, they worked the shot clock down to 7.
Well, a good job, and of course what will break up that zone on the inside is if go ahead, a little penetration and kick to the outside for the jumpers.
Carolina now 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Morris slipped, loose ball, and count the bucket.
He'll get an assist on that, although that shot was actually blocked of his.
Bobby Perry, his first bucket for Kentucky.
Now you have Terry, a good outside shooter. Lawson, a good outside shooter. Ginyard is not. So they really have 2 perimeter players here.
Ginyard, nice pass down low.
But a charge.
Then a charge.
Against that zone, 1 dribble too many by Ginyard. And one of the things that you'll see, there he goes, 1 dribble too many. You're going right into traffic, and it's waiting for you. One of the things that, Craig, about the zone early in the year, and one of the things that I think has helped Gonzaga in the past, and maybe comes to hurt them a little bit when it comes March time, they play a very solid zone early in the season. Very few teams work on a lot of zone offense early, and so consequently it's extremely effective.
Thomas breaks the double team, and the soft touch by Morris from the free throw line. He has not missed a shot, Billy. 4 of 4 for Randolph Morris.
You saw nice turnaround jumpers, and then he's got that nice range, 16 to 18 feet. Soft looking shot. They stay in the 2-3.
18-14, North Carolina. Hansbrough, jump shot. Little hook comes out, and a fresh clock for the Tar Heels.
Good pump fake, but he looked down at the floor for his dribble before he took that shot.
Lawson got a hand up on that breakaway by Kentucky.
But what Tubby Smith has done, a nice piece of coaching, is he called that timeout, went to the zone to keep the pace of this game down to a game played in the 70s instead of the 90s. North Carolina the other night in Ohio State game, although Ohio State played sensational basketball and had the lead for a good portion of the game, you had the sense because the pace, Ohio State had fallen into the pace of the game. Like in the old days, Loyola Marymount and Jerry Tarkanian, they'd love for you to be ahead for a little bit early in the half and think you could run with them. Then all of a sudden, in that last, there'd be 10, 12 minutes to go in the ball game, and that pace would just go right on by you.
Both those teams shot very well Wednesday night. 51% for the Buckeyes, 53% for North Carolina. Hansbrough is double team, nearly a triple team, and a bit of a piece of it.
Well, that looked like the Gonzaga game right there. Hansbrough has only been under 10 points twice. Kentucky last year and Gonzaga this year.
Morris having a fine first half. Both ends of the floor. Thomas lets the traffic fly by. Tried to feed it inside instead of taking the shot. Turnover.
Terry didn't get himself in position for the jump shot. There he is now, even on a delayed break.
Thomas climbs up, lost it, and it comes out to Crawford. Trailer.
And we saw Hansbrough hustle for a big man a little while ago, and that time Morris hustling too. Good job by Kentucky.
11 points for Randolph Morris. 5 for 5 as Arlington drains it.
Did you notice the difference in the technique? The last time he took a jump shot, he was looking down on the floor on his dribble. That time he was looking right at the rim as his dribble went down and seeded back into his hands. All good shooters like to get a good look at that basket and keep it there.
A pair of three-point shots drained by Wayne Ellington, a freshman from Wynwood, Pennsylvania.
Bad shot selection here by Bradley.
North Carolina, the 4-point lead and the basketball under 7 minutes left in the opening half. Another three from the corner off the mark. Hansbrough, backside rebound. And last touch by Kentucky. Timeout. 6:45 to play in the opening half. North Carolina and Kentucky on CBS. North Carolina, as you look at the game summary, leading by 4. Billy, they changed that three-point shot by Ellington to a 2, so the Heels now 3 of 7 from behind the arc, but Kentucky with the rebounding advantage, 12-6.
That surprised me, the 12-6 rebounding advantage, but teams have shot extremely well from the three-point line. Gonzaga did it. Ohio State did it the other night extremely well. Tennessee had 15 threes against North Carolina. Kentucky right now playing, I think, really solid basketball, but 0 for 7 from 3 and just down by 4 points. That's the reason they're behind. Completely new lineup out there. Kentucky going to a really young team on the floor now. Carter in the ball game, Meeks in the game. Perry, the only veteran.
Hansbrough goes out, Billy. 0 for 3 to start this game. Only one free throw made.
Kentucky stays in the 2-3 zone. No blocking out on Frazier.
Ellington gets it back. Frazier, good passing, shot away. Another 3, around and out, and another offensive rebound.
Thompson, big, strong man on the inside. So the 2 low post players for North Carolina, both freshmen on the floor right now. Thompson and Stevenson.
Both with a bucket here in the first half. Half as Jasper tried baseline and flips it back out to Porter. Both these coaches have gone deep to their bench in the first half. Terry tripped up.
There'll be a foul there.
Danny Green.
Perry probably should have gone ahead and thrown that ball up when he was on his way down to get a shot up there to go to the line, because as you know, he's been an outstanding free throw shooter. This year missed for the first time. He had 28 in a row, 25 coming off of last year. Missed against Memphis for his first miss in the year. On the way down, just throw that ball up at the backboard and he'd have a chance for 2 shots.
Crawford just in, takes the screen, shoots it up. Stevenson also fresh off the bench. Tipped that ball and a fresh clock for Kentucky.
Needed to go after that ball with 2 hands and had the rebound. He was lucky Kentucky ended up with the ball.
Under 6 minutes to play in the half. 22-16 North Carolina.
Jasper's got to realize he's got Ellington on him. He's not a real strong defender at this point. There's a turnover. The Palmen point of emphasis. No question, Crawford had that hand underneath the ball. But when you're a freshman, you have to understand as quickly as possible and understand the game. You got Jaspers being guarded by Ellington. Ellington not a strong defensive player. So if he's going to be guarding out at the point position, put it on the floor, penetrate against him.
Billy, 9th turnover committed by Kentucky. You cannot do that on the road.
Well, we talked about turnovers earlier in this ball game, particularly at the point guard position. Nice spin.
Stevenson the rebound. Another offensive board. Kick out of there. And last touch by North Carolina.
Young players on the floor for both teams right now. Randolph Morris having a very solid first half. Playing well within himself. Beautiful soft touch on turnaround jumpers. And hustle play right there to finish things off on a delayed break.
5 for 5 from the floor. 11 points in the first half for Randolph Morris.
Now get the ball over to Bradley. And he needs to penetrate here. Didn't even make an attempt at it.
No, one bounce and a pass to Crawford. Now Crawford swings inside and lays it off the window.
With so many substitutions, there's no continuity in North Carolina's defense whatsoever, or their offense for that matter.
Slapped off the glass, and the rebound comes out to Kentucky.
Odd combinations on the floor.
Bradley baseline. Crawford swings it underneath to Stevenson.
Doesn't have great hands.
Bradley for three. Wide open look, in and out. And Carolina covers up.
When you play this many different lineups, particularly this early in the season, it's just December, early December. Hard for guys to know how to play with each other, what they're capable of doing, particularly so many young players. Look at that move.
How about the spin?
That was big time.
Deion Thompson, the freshman from Torrance, California. Second bucket, 4 points. A year ago, he's playing high school basketball, averaging 21 points, 14 rebounds, and nearly 5 blocks a game.
He's got one of those Elton Brand type bodies, but quick feet.
Push off. Morris extended the forearm and an offensive foul.
That's a bad foul because it's a cheap one by the big man.
You're watching the NCAA on CBS. It's December, and it's do or die. Jets, Packers, Jags, Dolphins, Colts, Titans. A pressure-packed Sunday on CBS.
North Carolina leads by 6. And Billy, let's take a look at today's singular in-game analysis.
Well, when we talked about 4 key points at the start of this ball game, Carolina freshmen, and look at what they've done. Perfect 12 points. Good production. Hansbrough, just like the ball game that we saw against Gonzaga and Kentucky last year, only 1 point, 0 for 3 from field goals. Wildcat assist turnover ratio, this is something that really worried me for the Wildcats. 4 assists and 10 turnovers. And to be in this ball game on that basis is not real good. But Morris has come up big, 11 points, 4 rebounds. But maybe the biggest statistic was what just happened to him right before that timeout. The cheap foul. A guy like Morris, Randolph Morris, has got to stay on the floor for Kentucky. If he gets a foul with maybe an offensive move on the inside or trying to block something or gets a key defensive rebound, that's one thing. But to get one of those cheap fouls on a screen really hurts you.
And Tubby forced to put Randolph Morris on the bench, and Billy likely throughout the rest of the first half with 3:52 to go.
Well, both of these teams having woeful shooting performances. North Carolina came off a 65% shooting percentage against Ohio State in the second half. But that game was moving up and down the floor by both teams. Kentucky's doing a nice job controlling the pace of this game in the first half.
Hansbrough with the basketball, yet to hit one from the floor, 0 for 3, 14 on the shot for North Carolina. Ginyard on the block. Good double team by Kentucky on Hansbrough. Takes a step in and got it. Billy, that is what you call fighting through traffic.
Well, you know what happened there? Kentucky double teamed with their hands, but not with their feet. And so Hansbrough, being so strong, went right through those weak feet for the score.
26-18 North Carolina. Double pump. Thomas rolls it in.
He gave Hansbrough some of his own medicine.
Jure Thomas, first bucket and a foul low on the low baseline. And coming up on Singular at the half, Tim Brando, Seth Davis will get you up to date on other action going on today. And Seth will give you his annual outlook at things and players to watch for this season. That's all coming up on Singular at the half.
Ginyard coming off a sensational game against Ohio State. He had 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals. His defense on Ron Lewis, and then to show his versatility on Mike Conley as well, who was penetrating so well in the first half. For a man his size to be able to go out on the likes of a Conley at a point guard position and defend him is terrific. And earlier this year, Terrell Martin from Winthrop just lit up North Carolina. Winthrop, another team that you're going to be seeing in March, lit up North Carolina, and Ginyard did a tremendous job slowing him down in the second half. So I really think that young man can be one of the top defensive players in the country.
Ginyard 1 of 2 on that trip.
Holding by Lawson.
Good eyes. And the first on the freshman from Clinton, Maryland.
And here you see this revolving door substitution pattern by North Carolina.
.246 to play. Kentucky has yet to hit from behind the arc. 0 for 9. Perry. Got it by Hansbrough.
Out there on him.
He'll square up.
Wow, I thought they're going to call that offensive foul.
Perry.
I thought that Hansbrough jumped underneath him there.
That's 2 on Bobby Perry.
But how about Hansbrough as a center going out there and playing 20 feet from the basket defensively and really moving his feet?
Well, he's 6'9", 245, and like you said, moves very well for a big fella. Lawson on the wing. They go low block. Hansbrough back out front. Ellington, plenty of time on the shot.
Nice decision on his part. Nothing there.
Boy, tenacious defense by Kentucky. Lawson with 10. With 9, penetrates. And a foul in the lane. And take CBS Sports Line with you wherever you go on your internet-enabled phone. You can get breaking news, in-depth stats, and expert video, live scoreboards, and even manage your fantasy team. Click on mobile at cbssportsline.com.
When you look at Kentucky, they had a really fine game. UCLA back and forth. Had an opportunity to win that. Memphis kind of took them to the cleaners. But this Kentucky team today is playing the best defense I've seen them play all year.
Ty Lawson picked up the foul. If Kentucky can get 2 out of it. Oh, the steal, but a steal back. Meeks, left hand.
I tell you, Meeks has got a lot of bounce in his legs. Really a fine-looking athlete.
Jody Meeks, freshman, Norcross, Georgia, on the board. That closes the gap to 5. Ellington shoots it up, way off the mark, and the rebound falls to Kentucky. Wildcats making a run here before the half, but Terry reaches up for the steal.
Nobody coming back for the ball.
Hansbrough hanging on a pivot in and out.
North Carolina players are running away from the passer, therefore nobody coming back to the ball to take away that fast break opportunity.
And Billy, coming up next, it's all guts, it's all grit, it's all glory. It's the ultimate All-American spectacle that is the Army-Navy game, sponsored by Jeepman tonight. A possible national title shot. Darren McFadden, Arkansas, taking on Chris Leak and the Gators in the SEC Championship, presented by Dr. Pepper. What a day on CBS. Hansbrough rolls that one off.
Hansbrough just tremendous at getting to the foul line and a very good free throw shooter. Over 70% this year as he was last year. He's the kind of guy that really hurts you on the other for the opponent for the simple reason he puts you in foul trouble.
1 of 3 today for Hansbrough, 70% on the season.
Last year he shot 74%, went to the line 253 times. And that's a freshman.
Back low block, Hansbrough shoots it up and over the rim. Here comes Kentucky with 1:15 to play in the half. Down by 5, Carter, no!
Tried to get fancy, a 7-footer getting fancy instead of flushing that one. Boy, Ellington not taking any time to look off for his shots, is he?
Ellington, 7 points just inside the arc. Crawford dribbles in traffic, squares, and hits.
6'4", but loves to go in traffic.
Averaged 10 points, 4 rebounds as a sophomore. Already with 7 points building in this game. Wright, Carter got a piece of it. Wright goes the other way. Carter blocked again.
Had 3 blocks on that sequence against Wright, who has long arms himself and proved against Ohio State with both right and left-handed half hooks that he can finish. Terrific shot blocking on the insides. Stevenson, who started this season blocking shots right off the bat. Got a piece there. He actually tied a record 7 blocks in the opening game of his career against Miami of Ohio. It tied Andre Riddick, who is all-time shot blocking ace from Kentucky, who also had 7 blocks as a freshman.
One more for Wright. Out of Nashville, Tennessee, Billy Brentwood Academy a year ago, and makes a pair.
Was not one of the top 4 vote getters for ACC preseason Rookie of the Year. Do you want to believe that he will get some votes at the end of the year?
I would think so.
He's already won the ACC Rookie of the Year in the first 2 weeks both times.
Averaging 15.7 points a game. Shot clock is off. The final 13 winding down as Bradley controls the dribble for Kentucky.
Nice matchup here. Ginyard and Crawford. Crawford, the kind of guy that can get shots off.
Down to 5, down to 4, gets it away short. Rebound to North Carolina.
I don't think I'm going to have the ball in the hands that Ginyard's guarding for the last shot.
That ends the first half. North Carolina 31 and Kentucky 24. We now go to Tim Brando in New York for Singular at the half.
Thanks, Craig. Coming up on Singular at the half, we'll get you caught up on all of today's scores and highlights. And Seth Davis will give his outlook on the season after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports presents Singular at the Half, sponsored by Singular, raising the bar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another season of Singular at the Half. I'm Tim Brando with a score in Chapel Hill. The Tar Heels leading Kentucky 31-24. I'm dribbling alongside Sports Illustrated's college basketball writer, Seth Davis. And Seth, Kentucky's problems are in the perimeter, it seems, again this year.
Well, you know, they got 13 turnovers in the first half, haven't made a 3. You'd think Carolina would be up 20 right now, but I talked to Roy Williams yesterday. He was very concerned about an emotional letdown off that win over Ohio State. I think that's part of what's happening to Carolina right now.
All right, let's get you caught up now on the scoreboard. Western Carolina taking on the Musketeers today. Xavier guard, former Sooner Drew Lavender is going to pull up. Oh, the iron is kind.
Yeah, Lavender's been a nice addition to Xavier, Tim, and as has this guy, redshirt freshman Derek Brown, taking the pass from Lavender. Brown has 8 in the first half, including these 2 on the alley-oop. Xavier, a very experienced team. They've got a win over Villanova already. I think clearly the favorite in the Atlantic 10.
High hopes for Sean Miller, their coach. He starts 3 juniors, 2 seniors. All right, Long Beach State playing Temple. This game started at 9 a.m. local time. It looks like the 49ers failed to get the wake-up call. 43-13. Fran Dunphy in for John Chaney as head coach, off to a big start. James Madison and Old Dominion, 32-25. ODU has won 6 in a row and 8 of the last 9 against JMU. Well, a reminder, the road to the Final Four continues next Saturday at noon Eastern with doubleheader action. First up, it's a border battle between Indiana and Kentucky. That'll be followed by top-ranked UCLA and number 9 Texas A&M in the Wooden Classic. And CBS Sportsline is your destination for complete college basketball coverage. Follow every top 25 game with live scoreboards and check out Clark Kellogg's new weekly column exclusively on CBSSportsline.com. And switching gears to college football, coming up next, one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports, the 107th edition of Army-Navy. When we come back, we'll have Seth's outlook for the upcoming hoop season.
Are you excited, Tim?
Oh,
Can
absolutely.
You feel the excitement?
You bet.
I'll tell you everything you need to know about college hoops when Singular at the Half returns in a moment.
Welcome back. With college basketball season underway, there have already been a bunch of surprises, but of course none of them fool Seth Davis. So Seth, what else should we be looking for?
Tim, I'm glad you asked. We're going to start with the headliners, the best players in America. Hey, Big Nick Fazekas out at Nevada, leading the nation in rebounding, scoring a ton of points. Again, Dominic James, I think, at Marquette, the best point guard in America. But at the end of the day, Tim, I think the National Player of the Year, we're seeing him today in action. Tyler Hansbrough, the big sophomore center at North Carolina. 21 points and 10 rebounds a game, 4 offensive rebounds a game, and that's a hustle stat. There's nobody in America who plays harder, more consistently than Hansbrough does. And at the end of the day, as I said, I believe he'll be your National Player of the Year. Fabulous freshman. I'm throwing Greg Oden in there for Ohio State, even though he hasn't played yet. He'll be back soon. Hey, how about little Tawan Porter, 5'6" guard out at Oregon. He's off to a big start. I think the best freshman in the country still is Kevin Durant at Texas, a 6'9" guard, 22 points a game, 46% from three-point range. If anything, I think he's spending too much time shooting threes. Needs to mix it up a little bit more, get to the foul line. They have an important game later on today against Gonzaga. Glue guys, my favorite category. These are guys that you need to win a title, not necessarily the stars. You see what Rayshon Terry can do for North Carolina. He's a senior on a very young team. Levon Kendall is a 6'10 senior at Pittsburgh, does a great deal for that squad as well. But my favorite glue guy in the country, that's right, here's my man crush again. Luke Richard Mbah-a-Moute from UCLA, a 6'8 sophomore. He just erases everybody's mistakes at both ends of the floor. He's third on the team in scoring. He leads the team in rebounding. He plays hard, he's everywhere, and he makes 46% from the floor. The major mids. They don't like being called mid-majors, but they are playing big so far. Nobody bigger than Butler in winning the early season NIT. Earl Roberts with a shocker at Kansas. Hey, Air Force isn't even on my list. They've already won at Stanford and Wake Forest. But I think the best of this bunch, the Shockers of Wichita State, ranked 17th in the AP poll at 5-0. 2 big-time road wins at George Mason. Then last week at LSU. They're at Syracuse tonight. 7 of their top 8 players are juniors and seniors. I think the Shockers a legitimate threat to make the Final Four. A lot of new coaches in new places this year. Who's going to make the most impact early on? You saw what Kelvin Sampson's Indiana team did this week, almost winning at Duke. Bob Huggins is off to a difficult start at Kansas State, but he's got a very good freshman coming in December in Bill Walker. But in terms of immediate impact, I'm watching Mike Anderson at Missouri. They are 8-0. They just waxed Arkansas by 22 points. He's got a great junior college transfer point guard and Stephon Hanna. And I think Mike Anderson's style of play is going to be a shock to the system in the Big 12. The Big 12 is down this year, and I'm telling you right now, folks, Missouri is going to the NCAA tournament. Under the radar. These are players kind of hard to find, but they are worth it if you want to make the effort to find them, beginning with Brandon Heath out at San Diego State. Morris Allman is the best player in Conference USA. He's a 6'6 senior out at Rice. How about Rodney Stuckey, a 6'5 sophomore at Eastern Washington? Look hard to find him, folks. He's third in America in scoring, 27 points per game, and that's making 30% from 3, so that number is going to go up. As a freshman, he was the MVP in the Big Sky Conference, and I know a lot of people believe that Rodney Stuckey will play in the NBA, and soon. Time now to give you my Final Four picks. I confess this time last year, I didn't have George Mason on my list, so take these with a grain of salt. The Kansas Jayhawks in beating Florida last weekend in Las Vegas showed they have the chops to get to Atlanta. Florida, I still have up there, returning everybody from that national championship squad, maybe the best passing team I've ever seen, 1 through 5. I really like Pittsburgh, not just because of the big fella Aaron Gray in the middle, excellent guard play, very athletic on the wings, and just so I don't give you all chalk, how about Marquette? We talked about Dominic James earlier. You know guard play is very important in the NCAA tournament. An emerging big man in Ousmane Barrow and a great coach in Tom Crean. And my national champion for 2007, I am sticking with the Kansas Jayhawks, the SI Jinx ×2, but as I said, I watched them twice last weekend in Las Vegas, and they showed in beating Florida, Tim, that when they play with enthusiasm, intensity, and when they play pressure-free basketball, Kansas is the best team in the country, and they will be your 2007 national champion.
I wish you had a drum roll for that, but
Well, who pays attention to these picks,
I
right?
do,
Nobody
because I'll
remembers.
remind you in 4 months.
Yes, you will.
All right. Thanks for watching Singular at the Half. The second half of Kentucky and North Carolina is coming up. Enjoy the rest of the game.
CBS Sports presents Singular at the Half, sponsored by Singular, raising the bar.
CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Singular, raising the bar. And by Rolling Rock Beer, a classic extra pale lager. Halftime in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The Tar Heels 31 and Kentucky 24. At Billy's, we look at our State Farm first half stats.
Well, look at that three-point shooting. Kentucky 0 for 9, and they had some fairly decent looks there. Rebounding, Kentucky doing the job. Good 24 rebound to 17 advantage. I think the thing that jumps out at me more than anything is the score of the game. And that is that this looks like it's going to be a 70-point type game. Really favors Kentucky, the pace of the game. North Carolina like to have it up in the 90s. So far, they have not been able to beat Kentucky down the floor. Good job by Tubby Smith on defensive balance.
And both Roy Williams and Tubby Smith, really, we talked about in the first half, going deep to the bench. Both these coaches used 11 players in the first half.
8 scored for North Carolina. 8 of the 11 players, not unusual. As I said before, 10 players are average over 11 minutes a game for this team. Straight man-to-man by North Carolina. Kentucky used both man-to-man and zone. Nice job by Tubby Smith in the first half when he went to zone to slow down the pace.
Kentucky shooting 39% in the first half. Carolina 35 as Perry squares and gets Kentucky going in the second half.
Nice job over Terry. Perry over Terry. Key here for Kentucky also is to make sure Morris doesn't pick up that third foul quickly in the second half. And if you're North Carolina, I'd go into Hansbrough as much as possible, not only to get him moving offensively, where he did not have a big first half, but also to work on that foul situation.
1 of 5, Hansbrough in the first half. Only 2 rebounds for the All-American.
Bad floor spacing for North Carolina there. 2 freshmen got on the same side.
Hansbrough, nicely done. Little jump hook, left hand. Landon Wright.
That's what Wright did against Ohio State. He's got great elevation and those long arms.
Back the other way, and Kentucky finally hits from behind the arc. That is a 617th consecutive game. The Wildcats have hit a 3-point field goal.
It's in some danger there. Only 2 teams with a longer streak.
UNLV
and Vandy.
Yeah.
Good double team by Thomas.
Ellington answers back.
He answers that zone whenever Kentucky goes to it.
Ellington 7 in the first half, now with 10 after knocking down to 3, 36-29 North Carolina.
Ellington coming off 19 points, which he predicted he would get on his 19th birthday. Kind of unusual, huh? Particularly against a club like Ohio State, #1 at the nation at the time. Ellington on the arms of Crawford. He's going to have a hard time matching up with Crawford.
Second foul on Ellington, and 2 shots coming for Crawford.
You know, the weakest defensive player in the world could stop Michael Jordan if you were allowed to have just a slight tip underneath that elbow on a jump shot. You know, it doesn't have to be a big whack, but
it doesn't have to be much.
No, all you got to do is hit underneath the elbow of the shooting arm, and you can alter almost every shot. You can, unless a guy's got some kind of wrist action.
1 more for Joe Crawford. You saw 3 of 10 shooting in the first half, and he makes a pair. 5-point Carolina lead. Lawson. Hansbrough in the paint, rejected by Randolph Morris.
Great job by Morris.
Second block by the big fella.
And what he did well that time compared to when he used to get in foul trouble, he didn't try to smash the ball to the ground. Just a good, solid block. You see Hansbrough going backwards. Nice play by Randolph Morris. Kept him out of foul trouble as well. I said he does need to pick up third one here early in the second half.
Hansbrough 1 of 6. And Kentucky, Billy, you may remember, was the only team a year ago that held Hansbrough in single digits.
That's right. He's only had 2 games that way. Basically both the same. And there's that nice turnaround jump shot by Morris. Gonzaga did a nice job sealing down on Hansbrough earlier this year. Kentucky's doing it again today.
Morris is yet to miss from the floor, 6 for 6. Well, he has that down, Billy. 10 points, right with that jump hook. Is dead on.
He goes left hand or right hand. He's just too big for Thomas.
38-33. Morris lost the handle. Hansbrough digs it out. Still loose, and Crawford corrals it for Kentucky.
Holding on Lawson. Good job by breaking to the basket. I think Kentucky today is showing me probably as well as any team I've seen play against a fast-breaking club. Excellent defensive balance. Here you have Roy Williams getting a little upset with that starting lineup. Brings in an entirely new 5 and doesn't even look at his players as they walk by him to the bench.
Absolutely no acknowledgement. Hands folded. And a fresh 5 on the floor for North Carolina. 17-16 to play in the ball game.
I think he was disappointed in 2 things. The mental approach by that team that started the second half and no good aggressive defensive play.
Ramel Bradley running the point. Leaves it for Thomas. Hangs on a pivot. Jump hook. Off the mark, and Stevenson rebounds for the Tar Heels.
Stevenson and Thompson played some solid minutes in that first half.
Wes Miller down low. Thompson in traffic, bounces it off the rim, and is chased down by Bradley.
And did Ohio State take a little bit out of this North Carolina team? I don't think there's any question about it.
Thomas Ginyard the rebound.
The energy level completely different than it was the other night.
Now the crowd played such a big factor in that second half run. And boy, they shot the ball so well. 53% against the Buckeyes.
65 in the second half.
Free throw line jumper. That was dead on, and Perry rebounds the miss.
Bradley pushed Thompson right underneath the basket. That was almost a backcourt violation by Perry.
Kentucky driving, swatted away. Stevenson got up for the block. That starts the break. In the corner, the shot by Miller.
Boy, has he waited a long time to make that one. Remember last year he had the big 3 for 5 against Kentucky. Not a good shot by Perry. Nobody under the basket. That had to annoy Tubby Smith.
Frazier playing with a sore foot. Gives it to Stevenson. Trying to bank it off the window.
You know, Stevenson's got to think. There you have Morris out of position a little bit. Go to get fouled and not worry about pulling away on that shot.
Bradley controls the dribble out front against Frazier. Now Thomas feeds inside. Ball tipped, but a foul. Foul whistled on Frazier, his first. Fast and Furious in Chapel Hill. We'll be back on CBS. 7th-ranked North Carolina leading Kentucky 41-33. And Billy, we look at teams unranked when the season began. Now in the top 25, Wichita State leads the group, followed by Butler, Gonzaga, Maryland, and Virginia.
Well, that Butler team 8-0 right now. Won the NIT. Really an impressive run there. Beat the likes of Notre Dame, Tennessee, Indiana, and then Gonzaga to go ahead and win that. A.J. Graves playing outstanding basketball. We've seen Butler in the past in the NCAA tournament, and they've played extremely well, so that's quite an accomplishment. They deserve to be in that top 20 and maybe even higher. Gonzaga losing Morrison, but I'll tell you, the club that Mark Few's put on the floor is once again going to prove to be a tough out in the NCAA tournament. He now is percentage-wise the #1 percentage coach in the United States, right ahead of Roy Williams. Roy leads for all those guys that have coached at least 10 years, and he's 4th all-time, which really says something about a guy that's coached at both Kansas and here at North Carolina.
13th turnover committed by Kentucky. That was on the inbound. After the timeout, Crawford just lost his eye. That ball went out of bounds. Thompson turns and fires.
Oh, nice hands.
Got it back. Had a dead-on hook, and it's rebounded by Kentucky.
That's the second time that the North Carolina freshman, though, has tried to avoid contact with Morris on the inside. The key is to try to get him that 3rd foul if you're North Carolina.
Meeks, that ball was tipped away, out of bounds. And Tar Heel basketball. 14:45 left to play.
Roy Williams has his back turned to the floor, and he is screaming at that original first team. He's putting them back in the ball game now and saying, guys, let's see if you can play a little basketball.
Ginyard on the dribble, drive, puts up a shot and took too many steps. 4th turnover, only the 4th committed by North Carolina. And the starting 5 strolls back onto the court.
Well, one of the things in that frenetic game that we talked about the other day against Ohio State, Lawson and Frazier playing that point guard position had 8 assists between them and no turnovers against Ohio State. And that really speaks highly for a team that's trying to push the ball up and down the floor and score close to 100.
Bradley to Stevenson. Good defense by the Tar Heels. Now Meeks with the dribble.
You can see that the little lecture that the North Carolina Tar Heels got while they were sitting on that bench meant something to them.
Meeks goes in, and the follow by Morris.
2 players down for North Carolina. Allowed Randolph Morris to be wide open.
15 thrown down by Morris. And he came back defensively to tip that away. Back out front, Ellington will fire for 3. Around and out.
Push by Hansbrough, not called.
Bradley nearly stole it. Ball on the deck. Everybody digging for it. You got to love that hustle.
Well, they were not hustling at the start of this half. That's why they went to the bench. A nice way to get their attention.
And near the end of today's game, we will select the Chevrolet Player of the Game from each team to honor their determination and outstanding play. Chevy will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's General Scholarship Fund. America's brand supports America's best. Chevy, an American revolution.
I mentioned earlier at the start of this show, North Carolina with an 18-10 advantage over Kentucky all time. There's only one other team in the United States that has a winning percentage over Kentucky that's played them 10 games or more. And that is a great trivia question to try to figure out who that is. I'm going to tell you. St. Louis University. Can you imagine that?
Oh, you imagine that?
There's a 30-footer.
Rashawn Terry from downtown. That's 8. And his second 3-ball of the game. Took a step. Got him. Crawford turned it over.
This is a very important time right here for Tubby Smith. His team has got to stay patient. And if you're Roy Williams, you've had the little lecture to that starting club. Let's see if they continue to respond.
14th turnover, Billy, committed by Kentucky.
Next minute is extremely critical for Kentucky. Or let's say the next 2 minutes.
Ellington swings it down in the low block. Out front, Lawson in 3-point land. Now Terry will fire. And hits! Rashawn Terry back-to-back 3s.
Critical for Kentucky right now. And Tubby Smith, he can sense it too. I mean, you just have a feeling this game can get away from you.
Three-point shooting has elevated North Carolina to a 12-point lead over Kentucky. And coming up next, it's all guts, all grit, all glory. It's the Army-Navy game sponsored by Jeep. Then tonight, a possible national title shot is in the air. Arkansas taking on Florida in the SEC title game presented by Dr. Pepper. And Billy, this year at Florida's Midnight Madness celebration, head coach Billy Donovan, there he is, seemed to have, well, dropped the national championship trophy, but it turned out to be just a replica, as a real one is sitting safely in a trophy case. I can imagine what people must have thought when that glass championship trophy hit the floor and shattered.
Well, what they probably thought is, who cares? We're going to win it again this year. You know, they've got an excellent chance to back-to-back it, as Duke did 91-92. They've got all their starters back off a team that made that tremendous run last year.
Led by Joakim Noah, who decided to return for another year with the Florida Gators.
And we'll have them against Ohio State. And what it sounds like is Greg Oden is going to be back to play for that game. So we'll see how Ohio State adjusts, having a big postman in the game, which is something that will have to change completely the way they played compared to the other night.
Crawford lobs it into the big fella. Morris turns, and he's doing everything he can to keep Kentucky close. 17 for Randolph Morris.
He has played a terrific game on both ends of the floor. There again, does not commit that third foul. Tremendous. Hansbrough not able to get anything going inside today.
1 of 7 shooting. Morris still perfect, Billy. 8 for 8. The rest of the team has gone 8 of 31 from the floor.
And I like the way he's been so patient on the inside.
Right with the dribble. Lefty hits. Well, that's a soft touch.
Well, you know, he came back with the left hand. I think that's, even though he is a left-hander, you know, you're not used to that guy putting it back in your face. He is so smooth, too. As I said, he will get some votes for Rookie of the Year in the ACC, unlike the preseason voting.
Jasper in the corner, puts it on the floor with 18, feeds inside. That's just high percentage shooting right there. Morris stays perfect with 19.
And a bad play by Wright did not come in to help his teammate out on that switch.
49-39. Ellington had it stripped away. And they're going to jump it. Hansbrough went over the top of Morris, or Thomas that is. Timeout. Carolina by 10. CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, eating good in the neighborhood. And by Chevrolet, America's brand. Chevy, an American revolution. Billy, we look at the top 25 and the top conferences. The ACC with 5, the Big East with 5, followed by the Pac-10 and the SEC.
ACC coming off a terrific 7 years in a row, beating the Big Ten in a head-to-head challenge. The SEC might have been down there a little bit, but let me point out, since 2000, the SEC, every single member of their conference has been in the top 25 at least 1 week. Well, you talk top to bottom, how impressive is that? And, of course, last year they had the best conference record in the NCAA tournament. They had 6 bids, 13-5 record, which is 72%, sent 2 teams to the Final Four, and had a national champ. So whatever preseason is and what it is early in regard to conference rankings, really not that important.
Jasper stuffed underneath on the baseline. So after the timeout, Kentucky, Billy, couldn't get a bucket. Terry wide open.
Now, that was the first time in a while that Lawson is be able to penetrate and kick out. He's been held relatively in check. This is the first good game that Terry's had. Down on the floor.
Morris squares up on Hansbrough. Terry, Billy, 3 for 3 this half from behind the arc. He's 4 of 5 on the day.
Cheap foul that time on Hansbrough. Say something about Terry yesterday. The senior, North Carolina always does the suicide drills based on how you performed in practice. He was picked out at the end of the practice to run for the team. Normally it's 6 up and downs, 33 seconds. Roy Williams looked at him and said, Terry, you're the guy, and you got to do it under 30 seconds, and he did it. Yes, he did. He put on a show there.
How about the stride that young man had?
Yeah.
He took 3 strides and was at half court. Oh, there's a steal. Showtime. And a bump.
Oh, and he called it intentional. Bradley got back. Ellington's got a lot of size on him. An intentional call. Tubby says why. He was going for the ball. I think what they might be talking about, the intensity of the foul. We'll see it right here. It was an extremely aggressive foul, but he was going for the ball. New point of emphasis this year on the part of the officials, and that was the reason for the intention.
Ellington, the free throw. Yeah, rough play. Also, we saw earlier, they were the point of emphasis, Billy, as you mentioned, was palming the ball.
Yep.
And that's been whistled caught once today.
And it will get to the players in a hurry in regard to both of those maneuvers by the officials. If you keep getting an advantage with that palming, you can continue to do it. If it penalizes your team, you'll see guys get away from it.
Tubby still arguing the call. So 2 free throws, now possession for North Carolina.
Mild argument. He didn't jump on it.
15-point Tar Heel lead. Frazier clears it out. Another 3 on the way. This one's short by Ellington. Crawford
didn't know Green was behind him.
Touch pass to the corner. And the 3 ball falls for Bobby Perry. 7 for Perry.
Frazier, a starting guard last year as a freshman for North Carolina, doesn't have that explosiveness that Lawson has to penetrate and kick out, but solid.
In and out. And the rebound goes to Crawford, who ripped it away across midcourt. We head to the 10-minute mark, and fouled as he put his head down to drive to the hoop.
Ellington again gets caught against a guy that knows how to penetrate. It's cost him. There was that Hansbrough getting back on defense, doing a nice job. There's Terry with the interception and a nice block. Just an errant pass that time, careless play.
Kentucky inbounds to Thomas.
Switch made now. Terry over on Crawford.
Crawford dribbles and drives, hangs it up.
As Frazier waiting on him all the way. When you commit that far away from the basket for penetration, you know there are going to be people waiting for you inside. One too many dribble by Crawford. We saw Ginyard do the same thing earlier in this ball game. Just too far out to commit your drive.
Take away the bucket with 10 minutes to play, halfway through the second half. Terry against Perry.
Good hands. Good
They
hands.
lost it, and it's taken away. Calling timeout right in front of Roy Williams, and they're going to jump it. Oh, and now some heated exchanges.
Well, you don't need that. Break that up right away. You don't want to see any player lose the next ball game, and certainly not have that one fight situation on his record. Good piece of officiating there.
Tubby leaves the bench.
It was good job by Perry getting his hands in there. And you know what I have never really understood, Craig? When a guy dives on top of another player in order to attempt to get possession of the ball, even if he does, I think that he gains an advantage by using his body on another player. A foul is when you gain an advantage.
Right, good point.
And so I think that should have been a foul on Terry before any possession of the ball on his part was even acquired.
And Billy, possession goes to North Carolina on the arrow. Tubby made his way all the way past midcourt and had a word or two, friendly words, may I add, with Roy Williams. Trying to protect his interests, his players, and here we go. 9:41 to play.
Entirely different ball game than the one played in here the other night, which was so much fun to watch because of the pace of the game. This has been a hand check battle all the way. There's one right there.
Crawford, his second.
And you can tell that was Tubby Smith's game plan to try to keep this game down in the 70s and not allow Roy Williams' team, which had scored, as I mentioned, over 100 points in 3 games, to get in one of those running ball games.
I don't think he expected 18 turnovers with 9 minutes to play, and he didn't expect a slam like that from Brandon Wright.
Well, the Kentucky players did not realize that Wright was coming in behind them. They were all flat-footed on the play.
14 for Wright, 8 in this half, as Bradley puts it on the floor to the corner.
You get the feeling Wright can probably go above that white square in the backboard to catch one. You watch Wright. He gets a screen from Green. The ball goes right up in the air. There is no question that he can catch that ball somewhere up about the 11.5-foot mark. You know, everybody talks about how thin he is, but when you look at his legs, he has a really good set of legs on him. His upper body, shoulders are thin, but he's got a good pair of legs. And those long arms, kind of like the great Sam Perkins that played here at North Carolina, the All-American who's part of that national championship club.
Out of bounds, turnover.
Crawford thought he was pushed.
19th miscue for Tubby Smith and the Wildcats this afternoon.
Well, you don't get the sense that Kentucky could make a comeback in this ball game as much as North Carolina can put pressure on you both offensively and defensively. But they are going to have to go ahead and do something here and not worry about the score of this game to try to come back.
Off the knee of Ginyard. Kentucky basketball.
Solid performance by North Carolina. Haven't turned the ball over. Haven't shot particularly well, but solid defense.
28 on the shot clock. Possession for Kentucky. Billy, I look at the bench scoring. They've gotten 19 from Randolph Morris who started, but only 4 off the bench. A bucket from Meeks and a bucket from Thomas.
I don't think there was any question even before the start of this ball game that the bench favored North Carolina. Hansbrough gets up in the air. Good job by Morris again.
Hansbrough's 3rd foul. He's been frustrated. Scoreless in this half thus far. 8:34 to go.
You know, it's kind of interesting. These 2 winningest programs in the history of college basketball. North Carolina with the lead. Kentucky lists the 50 greatest games ever played, and North Carolina isn't in any of those.
Amazing.
It is amazing. They've never faced each other in the Final Four. But what was amazing is Duke, that'll play right down the road here tonight against Georgetown, is right behind Louisville. Louisville has 4 great games, and Duke has 3. So the Carolina rival, who's in 4th place in regard to winning his programs, is more storied as far as Kentucky is concerned than is North Carolina.
14-point North Carolina lead. Danny Green controls. Now Lawson dribbles around Bradley to the corner. Baseline jumper. High arcing shot off the mark. And Randolph Morris clears it.
Foul on Ginyard, reaching in. He and Green both did it.
Well, Billy, next Saturday is a doubleheader here on CBS. First, Indiana takes on Kentucky, and then the top-ranked Bruins of UCLA tangle with the Aggies of Texas A&M.
Well, no matter what team you're a fan of, if you're a fan of college basketball, isn't it good to see UCLA, I don't say #1, but it's great to see them back in the mix of what is going to be college basketball championship season.
Ben Howland's done a great job in a short period of time to bring the Bruins back up to national prominence. No question about that.
I mentioned the College Basketball Hall of Fame in Kansas City. I think the highlight of the night there was Coach John Wooden, who showed up 96 years of age. Got up on that stage. His mind as clear as a bell. Gave a tremendous acceptance speech. When he walks into a room, boy, college basketball people just go, wow. The Wizard of Westwood.
Hansbrough, jump hook. Well, his shooting woes continue. In and out. Bradley across the timeline. Under 8 minutes to play.
Got to start looking for some quicker shots, does Kentucky now. They can't play at the same pace if they're going to make a comeback.
Thomas feeds Morris. He'll take it up and in.
Too strong for Wright. Morris has had a tremendous ball game on both ends of the floor.
For 10. 21 points for Randolph Morris.
He stayed out of foul trouble. That's extremely important here at the start of the second half. Played a smart game.
Carolina by 12. Out front, another 3 ball on the way. Off the mark.
With the exception of Ellington, you don't see North Carolina with anybody consistently hitting that 3.
Timeout was 7:15 to play in Chapel Hill. North Carolina leading by 12. Billy, despite shooting 38%, North Carolina leads Kentucky by 12. If Tubby Smith could play this game over again, what do you think? Turnovers?
Well,
those in half.
We talked about turnovers at the start of this ball game being critical for Kentucky. They came into the game as a team, 93 assists, 93 turnovers. Today they have 8 assists, 14 turnovers, which means in that phase of the game, they're at a negative on the season. You're not going to win against teams like a North Carolina, obviously, or SEC foes, unless you're going to have much better balance there with the ball. North Carolina again, Lawson and Frazier, 6 assists, 1 turnover. Against Ohio State, 8 assists, 0 turnovers. That's terrific from your point guards.
Lawson and Ellington, both freshmen for Roy Williams. That ball comes off the rim to Kentucky. Starts to break to Bradley, but it's stolen away by Lawson.
3-on-1.
Right, left hand.
Yeah, Stevenson may be a good shot blocker, but he's not going to get a piece of that.
That comes Kentucky. Crawford, the wraparound. And now we can see a runaway by North Carolina.
Well, this is the game they want, and give Tubby Smith credit. He did not allow this game to become an up-and-down affair. That's why they stayed in it for so long a period of time. You don't want to run with North Carolina. Good dish, 3-on-1, nice spacing and a fast break. You put Lawson out in that open court area, he'll make some things happen.
Ginyard at the free throw line after the foul by Bradley. Jasper will check in for Meeks.
You know, Lawson a lot like Felton, Raymond Felton, in terms of body style, maybe even a little stronger as a freshman. Both of those guys with the tremendous ability to put the ball on the floor in open court, left and right hand, make something happen.
Bobby Perry also checks back in. The missed free throw, and then taken away, and it's going to go roll out of bounds.
Good hands by Ginyard. Roy Williams liked that effort. You know, you try to envision, where is Roy Williams going to go with this team? Is he going to try to get it down to an 8-man rotation, or is he going to continue with 11? I have a feeling, and you don't see many people win national championships with 11 players. You know, you get down to those 8 key players. I see Ginyard being a really important guy on this ball team.
Lawson threw it away over the outstretched arm of Ginyard.
Didn't have a good angle on that pass.
Billy, I mean, is that a problem that a Roy Williams will like to have to deal with 11 to choose from?
Well, I think that any coach would like to have that depth, but I think, you know, I mentioned Coach Wooden before. He used to decide by December the 1st who were his starting 5, who was the sub for the front court, who was the sub for the back court, and guys, you're the ones that are going to play unless somebody gets hurt. And that kind of rotation seems to be the rotation that works. Look at the Roy Williams National Championship team, a basic 5-man squad with limited substitutions. Florida last year probably a little bit deeper than that. But most teams win that national championship have a pretty solid rotation. They don't come at you with numbers.
Ginyard was whistled for the foul. That sends Crawford to the line.
Probably say the biggest numbers of a team that's won a national championship was this Kentucky team in '96. Rick Pitino had that incredibly talented club from top to bottom with about 12 key ball players.
Right straight away to Lawson on the wing.
You know, the other thing that's happened in this ball game, the style of Tubby Smith has taken the North Carolina crowd out of the game. The other night, this crowd was one of the all-timers that I've ever heard in this arena. Not the Sam Cassell wine and cheese crowd. That's come back today.
3 on the shot, turned it over. Bradley. Tar Heels get back defensively, and now Crawford will look at a 3. Puts it on the floor. Drives it up. Count it.
There again, that strong upper body. You get Kentucky not in a position to win this game, but they still don't want to turn it into a run-shoot game, playing solid. North Carolina, just too many weapons, particularly if Kentucky's going to turn it over as they have.
And how many times, Billy, can a coach actually bench his starting 5, bring 5 other players on, make a point, and then bring the starting 5 back on the court?
Well, you know, we have 2 coaches right over here. Both have a lot of confidence in themselves and in their programs. I've seen, and I know you have as well, Tubby Smith do exactly the same thing. You send a message. The best discipline in basketball is the pine.
3-point play for Crawford. That's 12 on the game. Substitution. Porter for Kentucky. Michael Porter, freshman. Modesto, California. Backcourt pressure.
See, there's where Lawson, I think, ought to go ahead and beat those 2 guys with a dribble and create. See, Lawson was better off creating the opening himself. Hansbrough having all kinds of problems today, isn't he? It's been one of his weakest performances.
Inside. Perry, no. Rebound ripped down by Morris. Well, give Kentucky credit. Still playing hard for Tubby. And there's a bump on the baseline.
Hansbrough has gotten a lot of credit preseason-wise, but today he has been outplayed completely by Randolph Morris. On both ends of the floor.
1 of 8 shooting for Hansbrough. Scoreless in the second half, Billy. He was 1 of 5 with 2 rebounds in the first half. Jasper at the line with 4:47 to play.
You see a lot of potential in this young man. He's got terrific size, very good with the ball. He's just going to need playing time. And I'd say by midseason, he should be a very solid SEC performer, even as a freshman.
He'll turn 19, not until April 13th. And you got a true 18-year-old freshman just running on the court right now.
And he has great size. There he is, getting a piece of that ball with those long arms.
From behind. And Bradley gives it up to Porter. Morris tries to find a place on the low block, and he throws down a forearm.
Yeah, he did. He just tried to clear himself out. Good call by the official.
3rd foul whistled on Morris. 59-48, North Carolina with 4.5 to go. Over 21,000 at the Dean Dome today. All in Carolina blue.
But rather subdued, because this game has never really gotten to be one of those spirited up and down the floor game that they like to see.
3-point shot off the mark. Here comes Michael Porter to Jasper. Inside, nicely done. Count it. As Perry gets the bucket, and all of a sudden it's a 9-point North Carolina lead. Timeout on the floor. 4:06 to play. Well, players to watch, Billy, on the national scene. You heard Seth Davis pick Hansbrough as his National Player of the Year. There's some terrific young guys out there. Noah, for one, at Florida.
Oh, absolutely. Tucker up at Wisconsin. They played extremely well in that ACC Big Ten shootout. I think Wisconsin, Ohio State going to have some really bruising battles this year. We mentioned today that Oden made play in his first game against Valparaiso, I believe. Today, it'll be interesting to see the adjustments that Ohio State will make with him in the lineup.
Under 4 minutes to play. 9-point Tar Heel lead. The ball kicked by Morris, and a quick timeout. Back to Chapel Hill after this on CBS. North Carolina's lead has been trimmed down to 9, 59-50. And tomorrow on 60 Minutes, the man with the idea that is changing the way millions of Americans are watching movies in their own homes. Followed by new episodes of The Amazing Race, Cold Case, and Without a Trace. That's tomorrow on CBS, America's #1 network.
You know, you look up at the score and you say, you never got the feeling Kentucky could win this game. Well, actually, almost from the outset. But here they are sitting on 9 down. They've not allowed North Carolina to set the pace of this game and the style of this game. And you really still don't get a sense, or I don't get a sense, that Kentucky can win this ball game. But it's amazing how they've been able to hang in here.
Well, North Carolina using clock on this possession down to 6. Frazier, low block.
Good
and
defense.
The shot, but the tip wouldn't go, and Hansbrough one more time, and he finally hits pay dirt. First bucket of this half.
That's a good job by Green, keeping the ball alive on the inside. Green's got a lot more size than you'd think.
And the lead is back to double digits, and make sure you stay tuned. Up next, it's all guts, all grit, and all glory, Billy. The Army-Navy game, sponsored by Jeep. And then tonight, a national title shot maybe in the air. Darren McFadden, terrific running back for Arkansas, taking on Chris Leak in the Florida Gators in the SEC title game, presented by Dr. Pepper.
Frazier got kneed right in the thigh in that play. We know about the sore foot that he's been nursing here of late. I think he's going to be coming out of this game. He took one of those tough shots right to the thigh, and it's hurting him right now.
Ramel Bradley, scoreless until that free throw. And Frazier limps off the court.
And they being Kentucky, have got to get Bradley to have bigger games. Randolph Morris did the job. Their inside-outside combination of Bradley-Morris, almost when you look at it, they've got to be good for almost 35 points a game, those two.
Has only missed one free throw this season. Now 16 of 17, and scores his first 2 points of this ball game. 61-52 as we head to the 3-minute mark.
North Carolina now occupying the ball. The object is to win the game. Forget about trying to be impressive. That's what they're doing right now. They're taking time off the clock.
Spreading the floor, Lawson.
And if they pull Kentucky out, that means that Hansbrough is going to be open on penetration kick when Morris tries to help out.
Green draws a double team, nearly stolen away, needs help to Lawson. 5 on the shot clock. To the corner. The shot is away.
Got it to the right man. What happens when you double team as the ball is being extended? You get those situations where either inside of Hansbrough or kick out to Ellington is available.
Craig Bullerjack, Billy Packer, back in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 64-52. Carolina with 3 timeouts if they need them. Possessions arrow pointing at Kentucky. Billy, North Carolina 9 of 21 from the 3 as Bradley answers with a 3-pointer.
So here when Lawson gets the ball, he can just break the double team down himself off the dribble and keep it in his hands. He's giving it up much too early in the backcourt.
64-55 North Carolina. Terry to Hansbrough.
And again, the object is to win the game. So Roy Williams saying we're not worried about points here. We're just going to use some clock, make Kentucky have to double team, and when they do, offset with a kick out or a dish inside.
Lawson double team. Throws it back out to Ellington. Penetrates the paint. Shot is away. Tip. And got it. Ellington, 17 in this game. Timeout with 1:56 to play. North Carolina on top of Kentucky. Roy Williams closing in on his 499th career win. In his 4th season here at North Carolina, a national champion, Billy, in 2005.
Well, how about the man from North Carolina going for his 18th national championship tomorrow? Anson Durant, so the North Carolina women's soccer team had his 800th win yesterday.
Amazing.
Yep, he's there with Dan Gable and John Wooden as some of the greatest coaches in the history of intercollegiate sports.
Michael Porter with the right hand high off the glass. Kentucky refuses just to roll up. But time now against them as Lawson runs clock down to 20. Out front is Terry.
Ball in the hands of the right guy here if he tries to take it down the middle.
Terry with 9 on the shot clock. Tar Heels are burning clock now. Bradley reaches in for the foul across the arm.
And here's where Lawson is going to learn how to play the game a little bit better with the great skills that he has. When he has the ball out in the top, he does not want to pick up that dribble and make a pass. Penetrate down the middle. Because of his strength and quickness, he'll find out he'll be able to create openings.
Lawson made his first start, Billy, against the Buckeyes on Wednesday night. He's getting the feel of big-time basketball. The Buckeyes, and now he has Kentucky in his second start. 1 minute to play.
Well, this team has gone Gonzaga, Tennessee, Ohio State, Kentucky. It's not like he's not getting some pretty good experience against quality opponents.
Clears it to Terry. Hansbrough has the dribble. Back out front. Bradley on Lawson.
There he goes and gets fouled. That's what he wants to do. With his strength, just put the ball on the floor, take it right down the center. Good things will happen.
Derek Jasper, whistle for his second foul.
Roy Williams wanting to talk to this young team again. There's a lot of teaching and coaching taking place in ball games like this on behalf of both of these outstanding coaches.
North Carolina huddles around Roy Williams, and Kentucky brings it around Tubby Smith.
You know, Craig, when you think of this arena named after Dean Smith, his first great win in his coaching career, he's having all kinds of problems. Got drubbed playing Indiana. I think it was like December 15th back in his first year. Then he goes to Kentucky and pulls off an incredible win against Adolph Rupp. Dean Smith was 12-3 against Kentucky in his career, which is phenomenal, and 5-2 against Rupp. But his first great win as a head coach was 2-17-62. He beat Kentucky 68-66. And we know what happened in the years that followed.
Oh, yes. And the great players who played for him, and so many numbers, so many jerseys hang.
Well, you know, two
Hall
of Famers were on that team, Larry Brown and Billy Cunningham.
Lawson.
And here's the other thing that Lawson will find if he keeps that ball in his hands. He'll be on that foul line down the end of games. There
Yes,
are
he
those
will.
jerseys up there as you spoke.
Jordan, Worthy, Ford. So many. Lawson 2 for 2 on that trip to the line. Final seconds ticking down. Bradley wrapped up. Lawson, they hit the deck hard, and they have to unfold.
Well, I hope nobody's hurt on that play. Two important players to both of these clubs. There's a lot of contact on that play. Watch the contact on this jump shot. Man alive.
Lawson picks up his 5th.
Solid game on his part. Not spectacular, but solid. Bradley did not get off to a good start offensively today, and Kentucky really needed him. When you look at the stats of this game, however, I think turnovers for Kentucky is going to be really critical.
21 turnovers in this game for the Wildcats as Bradley hits his 6th point, all here in the second half.
Frazier back into the ball game, so evidently that knee to the thigh was not that serious.
One more for Bradley. Oh, there's his only his 2nd miss of the season.
Well, that was a 3-point shot, so
yes.
he had an opportunity to go for 3.
One more.
That last one is kind of a line drive. Terry, first solid performance of the year. A lot expected of that senior from a leadership standpoint.
12 points, 6 rebounds. 2 of 3 for Bradley.
Very quiet crowd. Solid win for North Carolina.
And stay tuned, Army-Navy in high definition. Next, it's presented by Jeep. Oh, the march on is such an incredible moment to capture, and we'll have it here on CBS.
This young man held very quiet today.
Really only a 6th point.
So 2 years in a row, Kentucky holds an All-American below 10 points. He's had now, unless he scores some more rapidly, he'll have 3 games under 10 in his career, 2 of them against Kentucky.
2 of 10 shooting today. And a pair of free throws pushes that point total to 7.
Give Randolph Morris a lot of credit for on both ends of the floor. Did a good job. Primarily, that was his responsibility to stop Hansbrough.
Bradley slides down the paint, out of bounds. 27 on the shot for Kentucky.
Did you notice that Randolph Morris stayed with Hasbro? He didn't come over to double team.
Into Morris.
Soft shot again.
Around and out. And the first miss by Morris comes with 25 seconds to play. 10 of 11. The executive producer of CBS Sports, Tony Petitti. The coordinating producer of NCAA basketball on CBS is Bob Dekas. Today's game was directed by Andy Goldberg. At the Half was produced by Vin DeVito and directed by Linda Molino. The coordinating producer of CBS Sports, Harold Bryant. And the associate director of today's game is Jonathan Siegel. The broadcast associate, Bill Thayer. The technical manager is Rick Godwin. And the technical director is Ed Collins. And the senior audio, Jay Willis. Our thanks for bringing this game to you today from Chapel Hill. Very quiet as Terry hits.
Very dissimilar from what was going on in here earlier this week.
15 for Rayshon Terry, the senior from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. One more and he hits.
We talked about Hansbrough's 2 outings against Kentucky. There's a nice steal, good anticipation.
And another steal back the other way. Morris up and in. 23 for Morris.
There's the case that Ellington, rather than throwing that ball away, just hang on to it. Even though the arrow's going to Kentucky, he had a better chance than trying to make that pass and allow Kentucky to have an easy, fast break.
Really, North Carolina will win 3 straight in this series. And there's a foul over the back, whistled on Porter.
Well, you know, Roy Williams, his teams had lost 4 straight. And what he did in the locker room with that Sean May team, eventually went on to win that national championship. He said to the guys in the locker room before that game, I want everybody in this locker room to raise their hand that's ever played in the winning game against Kentucky. And obviously that got the message across. They got that win and obviously then went on to win even bigger games, winning the national championship. But a pretty good little lesson for him.
Free throw, Miller. Wes Miller. Good story, Billy, for Wes. Played for James Madison.
Right.
For a season and walked on. at North Carolina.
Yep, and then got a scholarship, and then has given up his scholarship because North Carolina was over the limit. Quality young guy. Credits Muggsy Bogues with giving him the inspiration to say, I can play despite my size. Muggsy, the great player in the Atlantic Coast Conference at Wake Forest.
Bradley spins down the lane. Tough shot off the glass. Rolls off the rim, but Crawford is there for the rebound. A 14-point game for Crawford.
Wow, I don't know why Kentucky continues to foul here with just 5 seconds to go. I mean, you want to stay in this ball game, but just play solid defense here. You're not going to be able to swap points with fouls.
Today's Chevrolet players of the game are Randolph Morris from Kentucky and Rayshon Terry from North Carolina. And in recognition of their determination and outstanding play, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. America's brand supports America's best. Chevy, an American revolution.
Well, some of the singular key points today really turned out to come true. Kentucky needed Randolph Morris to have the big game, which he did. North Carolina freshmen had to be productive, which they were. Kentucky had to do a job with assist-turnover ratio, which they did not. 13 assists, 22 turnovers. The story of the game as to why they find themselves in this position to lose this ballgame.
Bradley misses at the buzzer, and North Carolina, third straight win over Kentucky, 75-63. For Billy Packer, Craig Bolerjack saying so long from North Carolina, where the Tar Heels pick up a win on the Wildcats, 75-63. We'll send you to Tim Brando after these messages. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, the exclusive home for the men's NCAA basketball championship.